What if the biggest conspiracy theory isn't a theory at all? This week we pull back the curtain on the chilling history of Project MK Ultra. We expose the CIA's decades-long secret program that experimented with mind control, illegal drugs, and psychological torture on unwitting American citizens. From the LSD dosing to the official order to shred every file, we reveal the dark fallout of government overreach. Tune in to find out why the true story of mind control is more terrifying than fiction. Tonight on Newsworthy, two words and two question marks.
It's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. Two words and two question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
Woo! Brett! Jerry! We're back!
We are back.
All in the same room. Hard to believe, huh?
Woo-wee! Been a minute. Brett
Yes,
was
it
out doing whatever Brett does in the woods with small furry animals, and we were not a little bit under the weather, so we did a virtual last week. It was all good.
Yeah.
So tell us
That's
about
what we
this small
did.
furry animal thing you got going on. What's going on with that?
Small.
Well, oh, that's what we said you were doing. Sorry.
Oh.
What was you actually doing? You were doing your marathon, your personal best.
What?
Yeah.
That was like 2 months
That
ago.
was like a month and
Where
a half
the
ago.
heck have I gone?
I don't even remember. Oh, last week was my oldest
Daughter's
daughter's
birthday.
Oh,
birthday.
that's right, because he wouldn't change your birthday to be on the podcast. What a loser.
Shame on me.
Shame, shame,
And the
shame.
week before that, I had to take the kids to the pumpkin patch.
Yeah. I heard a really bad joke about the pumpkin.
I did.
patch.
I
did?
also heard a bad joke.
Can't believe someone would tell jokes about the pumpkin patch.
Oh,
I didn't have a good week.
Why?
Broke my glasses.
Oh,
Had to take them to get fixed. Oh, guess who I bumped into?
oh.
Everyone.
That was good. I liked it.
Speaking of bad weeks,
Good job for Jerry. Hang on one second. One second. Oh, maybe not. Go ahead. Oh,
Go
there we
ahead.
go. You get some laughter for that. That was good. Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of bad weeks, my wife, she told me she was leaving me.
No.
Yeah, she said she couldn't live with me always making Star Wars puns.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I said, divorce is strong with this one.
Yeah. Beginning to see Truly's point of view. think I understand where the poor one
Are
is
you
coming
kidding me? That was hilarious.
from. I like that one.
Oh my, Steve, where's your cackle? Oh, I was waiting for it.
He doesn't have a
my-
sense of humor. Have you not figured this
Oh
out
my
by now?
gosh, it's
I
hilarious.
liked it, your joke.
I know yours is not going to be that good. So
What are you
let's,
talking
let's
about?
hear it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, I've had, and other than Jerry dying on air,
Yep.
I've had a really crappy week. I got fired from my job as a
Fired, surely.
masseuse.
Dang, a masseuse.
I just started, but apparently I rub people the wrong way.
I guess so. I can see that.
Brent laughs at that.
Ticklish there. Don't be.
Brent was laughing at
All right,
that.
listen.
Don't let him. Don't
You
let
all,
him
all
laugh.
you listeners out there, if you haven't tried
You're laughing at my joke.
Krypton 10, you get 10% off. I have not tried the Grim Reaper,
Yeah.
and I can't even open the bag apparently. All right, here we go.
Smoking gun jerky.
Steve, did you try this?
online.
I
Hell
want to
no.
know if. Oh, come on, just a little piece.
It's
No,
you have to
sir.
try it. It's our
This-
It's
sponsor.
not that strong.
Grim, you ain't even tried it yet.
Think about some of the ones you have tried. That's all I'm saying.
Grim Reaper has
Don't try it.
exactly. Grim Reaper has ghost pepper, Carolina Reaper. It has jalapenos. It has all the things.
It is very good. I will say.
I
that.
don't want any part
It's
of it.
not. It's not. So it's a very even heat. Like it really. I mean, it's hot, but
It's not as hot as some
No.
we've had from them, I don't think. But Steve was right. Here's the peppers: cayenne pepper, habanero, guajillo. How do you pronounce
That is ghost pepper.
No, it's not. I don't
Or
think.
that is
That one-
Carolina Reaper.
No,
Sorry.
it's not.
No?
That one I've cooked with. I actually buy that. Then there's jalapeno. There's California Reaper.
Carolina. No, it's good. It's
Yeah,
got a good flavor.
that's probably a little too upper, Steve. But I
It-
still think he's tried one hotter.
It is. It is.
It is good.
I
flavor.
will, on the other hand, be eating garlic Parmesan beef
You've got that one
jerky.
before, haven't you?
That sounds good.
I think so, but this is really stout. So here's the thing about smoking gun jerky. They have 50 different varieties of jerky. You can try all of them. They even have elk and bison. And you can order any of them in the small or large packs. They also have marinade, they have seasoning, and they have recipes of how to make your own jerky.
Before you take a bite, hold it up close to the camera. Folks, the quality of this, most jerky you buy, you can look at it and tell it's not a good lean cut of meat. This is high quality meat that they're starting with. That certainly goes a long
It's
way.
delicious. Nebraska raised meat.
That
Um,
has
yeah.
excellent flavor and it is hot as crap.
but
I like
My eyes are watering a little bit.
Yes,
That's why I
but
said, as soon
it
as I
also-
tasted it, I was like, ah, Steve.
But it's not the heat that'll just burn your tongue up. You get a little,
it's a
little
good
bad.
heat. It's a good
It
heat.
kind of builds and builds.
And it tastes good. Like it's got good
They
flavor.
are welcome to try that as well. But very garlicky, very Parmesan. You can taste all the flavors.
I'll try some of
They
that.
have
I don't know if
good
I've tried this
product.
one.
I just every once in a while we like to promote them. They are a good sponsor of our show.
are.
We would love for you to order from them. You just go to Smoking Gun Jerky
Have we
of
told them
Lincoln,
the code?
Nebraska. Use the code Cryptid10. You'll get a great discount. And this stuff is comparably priced to anything you buy in a grocery store.
And better
So,
quality. I've never had
much better.
I've never had jerky anywhere near this quality, except maybe a couple of the festivals we've been to with some homemade jerky that we've had. But as far as the stuff you buy in the grocery store, this isn't in the same ballpark. as
In
that.
Central Kentucky,
good.
in Central Kentucky, the big one is Mingy Brothers.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good, but this is so much better.
Way
Not
better.
gonna lie. So, anyway,
That's good. I like the garlic Parmesan.
yeah, it's got a great flavor, just a bold, great flavor. Few things we gotta do some
Housekeeping issue.
housekeeping real quick. So last week we told you that we were going to take off the last 2 weeks of December. But guys, I'm just going to be honest. We are rebooting, retooling, and redoing our entire show for the next year. And in process of doing that, it's going to take more time.
Yep.
And so what we're going to do, November 26th is going to be our last episode for the year. Please don't run away. Please don't hide. Please don't find someone else
We
awesome to
will be
listen
back.
to. We will be back on January the 7th with a brand new product just for you. We're talking, well, I don't want to get too much into it, but when I tell you it's retooled from the ground up, it's retooled from the ground up.
Yeah.
I
We're definitely
feel-
gonna, we're moving forward. We're gonna focus on just making sure that every episode is as good as it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So please just give us some patience. We're going to take the first 3 weeks of December. We're going to work very hard on getting ready for the new year. And then we're taking a couple of weeks off. And that's something that, Brett's kind of new to the thing, but Jerry and I have done this for 3 years consistently with no break. And we are taking 2 weeks off. We're not thinking podcast. We're not thinking aliens. We're not thinking anything other than enjoying our families for the holidays. On January 7th, we will be back in force, ready to go.
Yeah.
So we hope that you join us. We feel like on January 7th, we bring back a much better product.
No, yeah, but we promise we're gonna take that time and make sure that we can improve this show as much as we can.
Yeah.
Come
We've
back
gotten some
better than
feedback
ever.
for sure, and
Yep.
and of course we all of us except for Jerry listen to podcasts, so we know what we like, right? And we know what you like, and so we're trying to make sure that we live up to that expectation.
And I'm just going to tell you, if you go to the website, newsworthywithstephenjerry.com, and you hit the contact contact us button, and leave a suggestion, that's absolutely going to be listened to. We're going to absolutely try to implement it if we think it makes our show better.
100%.
We'd
Yeah, give us
love
all
to
the
hear.
feedback we can get. I mean, we're not going to get offended by anything.
I tell everybody, especially the people that are close to me, I need your feedback. I need you to be up. Man, you were sweating.
That's
hot.
that stuff is hot.
It is hot. Pretty much. That's no joke.
Yeah,
Um,
we should probably do. Go ahead. I'll do my
I was just
PSA
going to
in a
say,
minute.
we absolutely listen to all of your feedback. And if we think it's going to better our show, you better believe it's going to be implemented on our show. We do all of our production. We do all of our stuff here in-house. So we don't have to beg somebody else to make a change. We're not owned by anybody. And we value those. And also, if you have a topic that you want to talk about, absolutely, please let us know. We love to deep dive into topics that you're interested in. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, Encounters is going to also be better than ever next year. So we'd love to get you on that and get you to be able to talk to you directly about whatever your encounter was. Now, all that housekeeping stuff is over. What do you think? What do you know? What do you
Can't wait
decide?
for it.
I'm excited.
I'm super
Absolutely.
excited for where we're going, and
Looking forward to it.
Jerry, what's the biggest thing that you're looking forward to next year?
The plans that we have will help keep us much more focused, on track. And I absolutely cannot wait to see how much that is going to positively affect the final product.
What about you, Brett?
yeah, I agree. I think that we've been kind of on cruise control for a while, and I think that just kind of rethinking the way we do things is going to really, it's gonna end up with a better product, like Jerry was saying.
And if Brett's here more often, we might find a way to get his name on the. Nah, I'm just kidding.
I don't want it.
Could you scoot a little bit? We're about to shove bread off the table.
It's
All
all
right.
right.
I am excited about the focus on the topics and the ability to deep dive. We've gotten very surface level, and I can't wait to be able to have the time to deep dive and dig into the topics.
Well, have you talked about us going? I mean, we got a few more weeks, but yeah, like Steve was saying, it's just going to be a change from the ground up, and like I said, we're really excited for what we're going to be doing. So
That we are.
So tonight, however,
It's a good episode, big episode.
big. Tonight, we open the vault to one of the darkest chapters in American history. A secret program so shocking, so surreal, that it actually sounds like part of some sort of plot of a dystopian thriller.
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't even expect the U.S. to be involved in something like this, but here we are.
Here we are. And its name is MK Ultra.
So when we were talking about doing this, you start researching, and I guess in my head, and this might be it. Jerry, you grew up in like what, the 40s, the 30s,
No, 20s.
20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Did you
thinking
ever
the
think
team,
that?
so-
Because I grew up, and I think I had an amazing childhood. I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, in my opinion, now it's the best time to grow up. But when I was growing up, I was like, man, the 80s would have been a great time to grow up. You know,
It was.
I was a Royals fan, so it's 85 was the first World Series the Royals ever won. I was like, oh man, did awesome. You got Star Wars coming out in the 80s. You got E.T. You got all these cool movies, and everybody's riding bikes everywhere and all this stuff. Anyways, but then I like listen to this, and I'm like, this couldn't happen today, could it? It's like it just seems like social media at least would. I feel like social media today would expose something like this, in my opinion, and we'll get into that. But so we're talking about MK Ultra. So what kind of led to this project by the CIA? So
Project.
we had the Korean War, right? And
the Cold War.
the Cold War. So in the Korean War, there was about let's see. There was about 7,000 prisoners of war. And about I think it was like 5,500 of those prisoners of war ended up coming back, right? And some of those prisoners of war that came back to the U.S., they were spreading all this communist propaganda. And this got the American government really scared. They went through a phase of paranoia, right? And right after, so this was in 1948. 1949 was when, sorry, this was 1950. 1949 was basically the start of the Cold War. So, first off, I want to ask you guys. So, if you are the CIA director at this point, and you got all these guys coming back from, and when I think of a prisoner of war, I think of a war hero, right? I think of a badass, like, this is a soldier who just went through all kinds of crap, and when they come back, they're praised. They should be praised as a hero, right? But these guys were coming back, and they were anti-heroes essentially. They were spouting all this propaganda for the other side. If you're the CIA agent in this scenario, what would you do? Like, are you gonna be? What would you do? Like, are you?
Oops.
If you heard that echo, it's because Steve opened our Twitch on his phone and didn't mute it. Anyways, so what do you guys? And that's kind of what I was when I started researching this. I kind of tried to put myself in his shoes because I think that a lot of things can be justified for the greater good, right?
No.
Not this.
No, I 100% agree. That's what I'm saying.
I get
A
listen.
lot of stuff. No, I agree.
Mm.
A lot of stuff can be justified for the greater good.
No.
War is a terrible thing, right? But is it for the greater good?
I don't know.
In
Is
some
it?
cases.
Prove me wrong.
In
Tell
some
me
cases.
a war that was for the greater good. any war. Go ahead. Let's talk about it.
World War II.
Think so?
World War II.
Absolutely.
I would
Because
agree.
we would have been Nazis if it had not been for World War II. Germany was in the process of taking over the entire world. Russia would have fallen without us. Great Britain certainly would have fallen without us. And at
But-
that point, with no other allies, we would have fallen. The world would have been Nazi.
And I do want to add to what I just said. 21 prisoners of war didn't even want to come back to the United States.
Let me
They
ask you
actually
a-
stayed in China and North Korea.
From which war?
The Korean
Korea.
War.
Let me
This is
ask
where
you-
it all started. Was the Korean War?
Well, let me ask you. Let me pause for just a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
because we're talking about war.
Let's finish this thought. Then we need to get back on track a little bit and start with.
Absolutely.
We got a lot of people don't even know what we're talking about. They don't even know what MK Ultra is.
Go ahead. Keep going. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
So it was basically, it should be illegal, right? It was human experimentation run by the CIA, run by the Office of Scientific Intelligence from the early 1950s through
Oxymoron.
the 1970s, right? It was officially approved by the CIA director at the time, Alan Dulles. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing the name right.
Dulles.
Dulles, sorry. So it
Dulles
aimed to
Airport.
develop mind control techniques. It used interrogation methods that could be used against Soviet and Chinese targets during the Cold War. So again, the whole justification for this whole project was to get ahead of the communist countries who are supposedly already using these techniques. The program was essentially a response to fears that the communist countries had developed these brainwashing capabilities already, and we were just trying to catch up. Essentially, we were trying to do like this this psychological arms race, essentially. So I mean, the key goals of this was they used LSD, drugs like LSD, and other techniques to force confessions. They used things like oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the what is the
Hypnosis.
Hypnosis. That's what I was thinking. They use things like
Psychological terror.
hypnosis, and their whole goal was to try and get people to do things that they wouldn't normally do without them knowing it, right? I don't know if you guys have you guys basically said that in that situation, you're the CIA director. All these prisoners of war. There's 20 prisoners of war that are like, no, we don't want to come back to America. And then there's all these other ones that are coming back to America, but they're spouting all this propaganda for communism. You're not at least a little intrigued. And here's the thing: I'm trying to
We're
put,
intrigued.
because because from our perspective, it seems 100% evil, right? But in that time, I mean, Russia just got the atomic bomb, right? And I think it was 1949. You got communism just spreading like wildfire in Europe. Are you? I think I can put myself in his shoes and at least see where he's coming, like where the director of CIA is coming from.
True.
Now, is what he did ethical? Absolutely not. It's not
Legal?
moral.
No.
It's not legal. And here's what kind of scares me. It's like, are they still doing this? You know what I mean? I'm sure like you've thought this exact same thing, right?
Dude, if they're not still doing this, I'm not sitting on this stool and doing a podcast. right now.
Well, I think maybe they're not. No, they're not doing these things. I believe that.
They're doing something.
They're doing a ton of crazy crap.
Ooh, upcoming episode, by the way. It's been proven. And I sent you guys the link. Contrails are real. It's spooky. But anyway,
We've always known contrails are real. You're saying more. You're saying that.
chemtrails are real.
Well, you're even saying that there's
Oh, yeah.
conspiracy. Some of the conspiracy theories
upcoming-
behind them are true because we
in
can look
a-
in the sky and see
yeah.
the fact that they're
In
real.
a upcoming episode, we're going to cover chemtrails.
Are we going to get your buddy on?
Even if we don't, we're
Okay.
covering
Yeah,
chemtrails.
I've said that for a long time. I'd love to have her on. If she can't make it, it's a very interesting subject.
So
Can I read
I-
something real quick?
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you're
go
talking
ahead.
about aim and intent. According to Wikipedia, the aims of this program was to develop mind controlling drugs for use against the Soviet bloc in response to alleged Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean use of mind control techniques on U.S. prisoners of war during the Korean War. We wanted to use similar methods on our own captives. We also later on wanted to see if we could force Soviet undercover operatives to defect, and conversely, if they could use the same thing with our undercover operatives. So, yes, horribly scary things. I can see why somebody would try to combat it. I can't see why they would go to these lengths.
Yeah. And I think so right after the Korean War, we had the Cold War essentially, which lasted from 1947 to 1953, kind of escalated really in 1949, but
The Cold War?
Yeah.
Cold War didn't end until.
Well, I'm saying it really started in some historians say in 1949
Sure.
with when the Soviets
In
created
my
the
opinion,
atomic
the
bomb.
Cold War didn't end until they brought down the wall.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The
Um,
Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
President Gorbachev, bring down this wall.
So it started as Project Bluebird, which was in 1950, and this essentially was started to study hypnosis, study drugs, and behavioral modification for offensive and defensive purposes. There was a memo of Bluebird that asked, "Can an individual be made to perform an act of attempted assassination involuntarily?" And if you just look at that statement, that is scary.
Isn't it?
That is so scary. And this kind of reminds, this kind of reminds me of Nazi Germany, where they're just performing all these tests. None of it is
100%
ethical, where they're just like,
100%
they don't
agree.
care about the human person at all. They're just trying to discover as much scientific information as they possibly can. So Project Bluebird eventually evolved into Project Artichoke, which was from 1951 to 1953. And this included teams that were sent to Europe and Asia that tested the total control techniques on suspected double agents, like Jerry was saying. And these methods included massive doses followed by stimulants, hypnosis, electroshock. So they were again just trying to brainwash these double agents into basically change their sides, right? So
Defecting, yeah.
so yeah, when you get into this, it seems like a science fiction type of thing, but this happened in the 50s, right? 50s, 60s, and 70s.
And 70s. Yeah.
Which, Jerry, you would have been the ripe old age of what?
8 years old.
8.
It ended in 73, I think. I was 8.
That's when my dad was born, 73.
In 73, Jerry was like 56.
Whew.
In 73,
Yeah. Yeah.
which makes me 108 today. You guys are so fortunate to have a 108-year-old
That is pretty good.
on your show.
Yeah. Anyways, I watched this video.
Good looking day over 109.
I watched this video of this guy from the 1800s, late 1800s, and he was talking, and I was like, I feel like 90% of the people in America couldn't be that articulate, that like thoughtful about what you're saying. It was just crazy. Anyways, and he was just like a normal farmer who was like in his 80s, the 1800s. But yeah, so and there's a couple other things about MK Ultra. Like we know that the budget initially was about $300,000, which is in 2025 dollars is about 3.5 million. It later peaked at about $1 to $2 million annually. There was about 150 sub projects spread about 80 institutions, universities, hospitals, prisons, pharmaceutical companies, and hopefully we'll talk about one of the universities, UCLA, which had a professor there that was involved in a lot of things that were just when you talk about it, you think of it as like in the same vein as a serial killer, right? I mean, it's just scary stuff. So yeah, MK Ultra, it's not one of America's proudest moments for sure.
It's not. one quote that I read highlights the statement you just made more than anything else. Once Project MK Ultra started in April '53, experiments included administering LSD to mental patients, prisoners, drug addicts, and prostitutes. Begin quote. People who could not fight back, end quote, as one of the agency officers administering it stated. Again, people who could not fight back. When you choose people who are helpless,
Yeah.
people who can't fight back, and that's the ones you're going to inflict this terror on, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
You know, our government, as much, let me digress. I would consider myself a patriot of patriots. Okay. And I mean that in every sense of the word. However, the older I get, the more I research, the more I look, I realize, and I'm smart enough to realize, we're not always the good guys. You know, a lot of people, to make things make sense in your head, put yourself in. If you go to Istanbul, whatever's going on in the world, if you're a citizen of Istanbul, your guys are the good guys. That's how you have to reconcile things. But there are so many past and, dare I say, present things that make us so not the good guys.
Just like
Yeah.
last week when we were talking about the Indians and some of the atrocities
Absolutely.
committed against them.
This
Same
is
vein.
this is exactly the type situation where our government takes liberties that it has no business taking on unwitting, undeserving, and people who, let's just be frank, are trying to go out and have a little fun for the night. And what I mean by that is some of the experimentation that they used, as far as
Yeah.
they took whole brothels
Right.
and wired the rooms and had double mirrors,
Yeah.
so that they could
Single mirror. Right.
yeah, so
Single
they could
mirrors.
literally watch you do your thing after the prostitute or the hired person has injected you with LSD, so that they can see what they can manipulate out of you.
Did you see where I guess at UCLA, they had graduate students who they told, hey, you need to look like a hippie, grow your hair out, like wear baggy clothes, and you're gonna try and attract all these people into these like rooms where they basically made them this like hippie haven. I don't know how you call it, but
Hippie commune, yeah.
right,
I
and
think.
it's and then they would use prostitutes to lure these people in. They would they would spike their drinks. They would even like produce like gases that would I guess it was laced with LSD.
That was the primary. There were other things, but
Right.
LSD was the primary thing that they felt like would wash you enough that you could become pliable.
It's crazy.
It is the worst of the worst. It is a government whom people are supposed to trust for their protection and their security and safety. We've taken advantage of that as a government on
Well,
multiple occasions.
We were fighting wars supposedly against countries who did this type things to their people.
Right.
And in several
Right.
cases, this was the reason we fought the war, was
Yeah.
because look how they treat their people.
100%.
Turns out we were doing it to our own people.
Yeah, there is zero good in this program, top to bottom, front to back. And let's talk about some of the people real quick that were instrumental in this. And some of these names, I'm afraid I'm going to butcher. I apologize. Sydney Gottlieb,
Yeah.
known as the poisoner in chief, the CIA's chief chemist and head of the Technical Services Division. Not only do these people get a job and a title and avoid prison for what they do, they get rewarded with raises and bonuses. It's insane and disgusting. I'm just going to point it out there. Nicknamed the poisoner in chief, He oversaw the LSD experiments, assassination plots, and the covert drugging operations. Ran sub projects across prisons, hospitals, and as before discussed, CIA owned brothels. He is the one who destroyed most of the files before his retirement in 1973. Only 20,000 actual documents, mostly heavily redacted, escaped the destruction and are available today. Richard Helms, deputy director of the CIA in the 1950s, and later in 1966 became the CIA director, advocated extreme secrecy, shielding MK Ultra, even with all arms of the CIA. Total blackout on the MK Ultra program. He ordered the destruction of the rest or most of the MK Ultra files that were remaining in 1973, erasing evidence of at least thousands of experiments. Disgusting, this guy. Let me just back up. If you're going to go to bed tonight, but before you go to bed, you have to be able to sleep, you have to erase most of the files. You probably shouldn't have been doing the things that you're trying to erase.
You think, yeah.
Right? Frank Olson. Frank Olson is a story within a story. Frank Olson breaks my heart. Frank Olson was an Army biological warfare scientist he works with them. He is a bio-warfare scientist. He understands how this stuff all works. And guess what? They covertly dosed him with LSD in 1953. Died 9 days later, falling, and I'm using air quotes, from a New York hotel window, officially called suicide. But many, many, many suspect murder. His death became probably the most infamous MK Ultra death and scandal that happened. It actually later fueled public outrage and started the conspiracy theories because of the way he was done. This man jumped from, was it a 30-story hotel? I think. Broke the glass 3 inches thick. This man was in his 50s, by the way, with a chair and jumped out the window. That was the official story, and that's suicide.
Right.
I'm just telling you, and you, there ain't no way that this man committed suicide.
It sounds so familiar. Many stories that we hear about other guys committing suicide. It's like,
Yeah.
This stuff isn't lining up.
So, and then the final one, the big one, the man who's wrapped in more American conspiracy theories from the 40s, 50s, and 60s than anybody else. That man is Allen Dulles, CIA director from 1953 to 1961. He actually authorized MK Ultra at the height of Cold War and Korean War paranoia. Believed that communists had mastered brainwashing because of your troops during the Korean War, prompting the CIA to understand and master thought control, brainwashing. His leadership expanded covert operations and embedded MK Ultra deep inside CIA culture. It wasn't a matter of the fact that this was a few dudes doing an experimentation. This was filtered throughout the entire CIA as actual science. Jerry, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking what you said earlier. It's disgusting. It's reprehensible. And those words apply when we hear about some third world country doing this to its citizens. To me, it's 100 times worse when we find out that our own government did it to our own people. With the Constitution we have, with all the rights, the protections that we have in this country, you would think that it would have never, that no one would have ever dreamed that they could have done something of this scale, this magnitude, and this horrible to our own citizens.
I'm going to toot my own horn for a second because I came up with I went and got a tattoo last week and a new one, and I'm very excited for it, by the way. Just if y'all want to know what it says, reach out to us in the comments. I'll send you a pic. But the tattoo artist was talking about how diamonds are so expensive and gold is so expensive. And I'm like, that really depends on your perspective. You know, in past careers, I've dealt with lots of people that were on their deathbed. And all of a sudden, all of that is worthless.
100%.
And time is the most valuable commodity or thing that you can get. And the CIA, by utilizing these programs, cut the time that these victims had by however long.
Sure.
I just blows me away how disgusting our government can be.
And you wonder why John F. Kennedy was wanting to get rid of all these
Alan Dulles was the guy he was wanting to cut
institutions. Yeah.
and was a key factor. And I feel like next year we're going to deep dive into this, okay? But Alan Dulles had more to do with President Kennedy's demise than I think a lot of people want to talk about.
Yeah.
He was, but anyway, Jerry, tell us about some of the other parts here.
Well, yeah. Thanks, guys. Both of y'all did a great job in giving us some of the origins and telling us about the people and some of the people involved, the experiments that went on. And those were absolutely horrific, unethical. And some of the horrendous experiments, I would say, were truly staggering. But to me, a possibly even larger horror lies in what happened when the truth began to finally come out. This is my part is the exposure, the legal fallout, and the legacy that still resonates even today. As you guys have talked about, by the early 70s, MK Ultra was officially dead. The program had been quietly shut down in 73. But the cover-up had been very thorough. CIA Director Richard Helms had actually ordered that all MK Ultra files be destroyed and almost succeeded. There was one box that was supposed to have been deleted with the rest that got archived instead of being shredded. But then came Watergate. And as the Nixon administration began to fall apart, Congress and journalists began to dig deeper into abuses of power. And they said, if we've done Watergate, what else are they covering up? And it wasn't just the White House that they were looking at. It was also U.S. intelligence agencies. And in 1974, a New York Times reporter named Seymour Hersh published a front page story exposing illegal CIA operations against American citizens, including drug experiments on unwitting subjects. That was the first time the public had ever heard the name MK Ultra. Now, this set off a chain reaction, public outrage, congressional hearings. I'm sure you guys have heard of the Church Committee and also the Rockefeller Commission. Those were established under President Ford. These committees forced key CIA officials to testify, which confirmed the experiments. It confirmed the use of unwitting subjects. It confirmed the agency's abuse, the history of abusing its power on American soil. Earlier, we mentioned that CIA director had ordered that all MK Ultra files were destroyed. There was the one box of files that were destroyed. It was mainly a box of financial records that had been mistakenly archived rather than destroyed. These financial documents, not the true operational files, those were gone, but these were the threads that the investigators would later use to begin to unravel the entire program. Now, the fallout to the Church Committee and the Rockefeller Commission was immediate and very messy. MK Ultra revealed that the government was willing to violate the fundamental rights of its own citizens. It was willing to target the vulnerable, the imprisoned, the mentally ill, all in the name of national security. It proved that the government had at one point sanctioned systemic torture and psychological warfare on American soil against American citizens. We learned about people, as Steve was talking about, Frank Olson, the Army bacteriologist who died after being secretly dosed. His family fought for decades before the truth finally came out. President Ford actually issued an apology to his family in 1975, 22 years after he died. Other survivors came forward. Canadian patients that had been treated by Dr. Ewan Cameron in Canada under using CIA funding. They described memory loss, personality fragmentation, and lifelong trauma. Again, going back to what Steve was talking about, stealing time of their lives. Many lawsuits were filed. Some were settled quietly, others dragged on for years. This next one gets me. The CIA admitted to ethical lapses, but no one was ever criminally charged. There were no trials. There were no convictions. Earlier, I think you asked the question, do we think anything like this could possibly go on today? I hope not, but I guarantee the government is doing some stuff. But even so, in today's world, when we find out about the abuses of power, whether it's police shooting some innocent person, how often do these people get punished? Very rarely. Now, this wasn't just a scandal, it was a reckoning. MK Ultra forced Americans to confront the limits of government accountability. If the CIA could do this and get away with it, what else was possible? When the hearings began to be aired on television, Americans were stunned. Here was proof that their own government, the same one that was warning about Soviet mind control, we had been conducting psychological experiments on our own citizens. Yeah, the formal program had ended, but the legacy of distrust that it created is permanent. MK Ultra isn't just a historical footnote. It is the foundational text for almost every government conspiracy theory. I often tease both of you guys for believing in conspiracy theories. Give you guys a lot of crap for that. We have to remember that our government is to blame for the origin of most of those theories. They have hidden from the public and in many cases outright lied about so many programs that were completely illegal and often harmed Americans. A few others, and we need to cover some of these. Operation Mockingbird, the secret radiation experiments, the FBI's counterintelligence program, in addition to MK Ultra, come to mind. Some examples of the fallout that still exists today. The confirmation that the CIA actually carried out experiments on citizens fueled the deep, lasting cynicism about government transparency. It gave concrete proof to the idea that institutions are not only capable of covering up wrongdoing, but actually destroying the evidence, trying to prevent anyone from ever finding out what actually happened. The very name MK Ultra has become synonymous with secret government manipulation. It helped to shape public distrust in government, feeding conspiracy theories, pop culture, and political skepticism. It inspired films like The Manchurian Candidate, Jacob's Ladder, Stranger Things. Maybe because the core idea that someone could steal your mind is perhaps the most terrifying concept of all. Another direct result of MK Ultra scandal was the establishment of new ethical standards in research, and that's a good one. It helped to lead to the creation of the National Commission for the Protection of Human Subjects. At its core, MK Ultra reveals something terrifying, that power, when unchecked, will experiment with the human mind itself. It's reminiscent of that old saying, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. By the way, that saying comes to us from Lord Acton, a British historian. In the same letter where he had that saying, he went on to explain it further by saying this: great men are almost always bad men in the context of power. We need to remember that. MK Ultra showed us that the secrecy breeds abuse, that patriotism can be twisted into justification. Kind of what you were saying. You could almost put yourself in his eyes and understand why he would at least begin to attempt some of these things. It also shows that the line between national security and human rights is thinner than we think. 9/11 and the United States reaction afterwards is yet another example. Due to 9/11, we have given up so many of our rights voluntarily, without a peep. If you have any doubt, just read some of what Edward Snowden told us.
Yeah.
By the way, that reminds me, we need to have Clay Davis back on soon. I don't know if anyone as capable as he is of warning us about the dangers of government overreach. And Clay's been kind enough to do that for us several times in the past.
Look at Britain right now.
Yeah.
Literally, right now.
Absolutely. We also should not forget that one of the best and strongest checks against government abuse of power is a free press. There's good reason that the founding fathers ensured this would be protected with the First Amendment. Earlier, you were asking if I believe that this could happen today. I think there's people who'd be willing to try it. I hope that through social media, through a strong free press, that they would be afraid to.
But if you saw somebody coming out on social media saying, "Oh, this guy gave me some tea that was spiked with LSD, then I ended up like killing somebody," like, would you believe him?
Probably not, and shouldn't. One person, probably not. There would have to be a pattern. We're not going to take one person that the facts seem to say is a crazy person. We're not going to take their word over the United States government, and I don't think should. But they're not going to do it to one. They're going to
Yeah.
do it to many. Now, if those people speak up, and as you're saying, between social media and everything else, there's so many ways in today's world to speak up and be heard. Anyone with a phone can make a TikTok, a
Yeah.
Facebook reel, or whatever. So you can get way more coverage way easier than you could in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. That is my hope of what might stop it. Is hopefully would I listen to one? No. Would I listen to 10? Maybe not. But 100, 500, we're going to say, wait a minute, something's going on.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
So do you guys think that the government has just become more transparent,
No.
or do you think they're just better at hiding things?
No, I don't think that'll.
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
They have unwillingly become more transparent because we demand it. The
Yeah.
more that we have a strong free press that goes and digs and finds things has forced them to be a little more transparent. So we have drugged them into transparency a little bit. They haven't come willingly at all.
I have to disagree with you, Jerry. I don't think the media has drugged them into anything. I think that the independent journalist who's doing podcasts, who's doing streams and videos by themselves are dragging them.
That is media.
Well, it's
We
a
are
media,
part of media.
I understand, but it's a different section. When you say
You're saying
a lot
not
of people-
mainstream media.
mainstream media
I'm
ain't
saying
doing shit.
all of it. Yes, they are. They absolutely are.
Okay.
How many? Who uncovered this? Who brought this to American View?
This
New
was
York
a-
Times.
This was 20 years ago.
Who
30,
brought
40
Watergate?
years ago.
It was
to you.
50 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm
So-
saying in today's media, I can't believe that you can literally watch videos of all of the different medias, and it doesn't matter. It can be Fox, it can be MSN, it can be CNBC or ABC or whatever, and you can line up the anchor's wordage even, and it's all the same.
It's scripted.
It's scripted. I have you
Joe
and I
Rogan
differ
bought
in
this
this.
up about Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He was saying that all the media says, "Oh, he's sharp as his tack. He's
Yeah.
sharp as his tack." He's like, who even says that anymore? It's
So-
like, and everybody says it. The same
To
thing.
me, it's there's very little belief. There's very little confidence in the mainstream medias of today, and I think that's going to continue to go down. As an example, you said Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has a bigger audience than all of mainstream media combined.
Yeah, right.
So where those are the things that are pulling this out now is the people who are individuals who are willing to go against the grain to do that.
Well, again, I said media. I didn't mention mainstream media.
Well, I know. I was just
Media
clarifying.
is
Right, yeah.
everything that you mentioned. It is
Right.
all of that. And again, that's far bigger than it was in that day and time. It
Absolutely.
has far more people have far more access to it. Two more things real quick. At its core, MK Ultra was never just about LSD or hypnosis. It was about control. The fear of losing control to enemies abroad led the US government to experiment with controlling minds at home. Kind of what you're asking to begin with. Yes, I can see why he would maybe wonder what would happen if. How do I combat this? Still don't think it justifies it. So what did MK Ultra reveal? It revealed the fragility of ethics in the face of perceived threat, the vulnerability of trust, and the cold hard fact that the government our government was willing to turn its own people into weapons and test subjects. And that in itself is a story that sadly and tragically is newsworthy.
Absolutely.
100%.
And fast forward 20 years, we did it again
Yeah.
with the Patriot Act. We literally, we'll do
Yeah,
that.
Edward Snowden, dude.
Yeah.
Result of 9/11.
The
Yeah,
fact that
but
he
in
has
this-
to live in Russia in exile because of that, it's ridiculous. He should be an American hero.
But do you know what's, I agree. But do you know what to me is even scarier? Is the American people, he informed the American people of what our government did to
And
us,
they did
and we don't
nothing.
care.
We don't care.
When I say we, I'm talking
Lindsey
overall.
Graham, as the other day, made a quote that made me so freaking mad. Now, everybody knows here, I am a Republican who leans heavily libertarian.
Yep.
But I think I'm with you, Jerry. It's time to cut the ties to the Republican Party. Here's why. One
Well,
quote from Lindsey Graham. He said, I feel great. President Trump has run out of bombs and we're killing the right people. What gives you the right to kill anybody in any country? It went all through me.
When you mentioned me abandoning the Republican Party a few years ago, after a lifetime of being a Republican, I went and decided to become an independent. After hearing the word rhino one too many times, I decided if I was part of the problem, I could fix that.
I
I really believe that there's very, very little difference in either party.
amen.
They're all politicians. They're all trying to get reelected, and they're not trying to represent us. That's my problem with that I have with not only the Republican Party, with all of Washington.
I'm gonna ask you guys a serious question.
Okay.
I think I know which side each of you stand on, but when I look back at COVID, I see it similarly to this. Like if you think the government basically took away your freedom of religion, your freedom of speech, your freedom of choice.
They didn't take any of that.
Well, I mean, we gave it to them, right? Like,
Exactly.
we gave it. I mean, we freely said, "Okay."
We were
well,
so freaking scared, we gave it away.
And I know there's a lot of people who are very affected by COVID. People lost lives. People lost family members.
COVID's real. I
right.
had COVID. I know how bad it is.
100%.
Absolutely
But
right.
it's pretty much all but confirmed that it came out of a lab in Wuhan, China, that the American government was funding.
Absolutely.
And again, it's just I think that if it happened again, I think that a lot of people have learned. I feel like a lot of people. I feel like I've learned, but again, it's crazy how willingly we were able to just, oh, here, take my rights. It's okay. The fact that I never questioned. Oh well, I can't go to church anymore. I can't worship the way I want to worship. But and then again, strip clubs were still open in California. You know what I mean? So it's like
Casinos in Nevada.
because
Some, not all, but some.
Anyways.
Those are legitimate questions. I
But
would
in
strongly
leg-
disagree from the standpoint of you didn't get into some of the things that you and I disagreed a lot about a few years ago. Face mask. You didn't agree with them. You thought it was wrong.
Well, for me, I have a beard. Face mask doesn't work for me.
Face mask didn't work. Well, it did a little bit. All it did was to stop when
Like
you
if I
sneezed or
sneeze,
something.
right? If I
Guys, here's the point with face masks. They were hugely ineffective. What other tools did they have? What should they have replaced it with? You tell me what they should have done to help try to stop COVID. Please tell me. There's very few tools we have that work and none that work well. None. You can't stop this stuff. You can't stop it. But when you got a few tools, and I'm coming at it from the sense of my mother had a respiratory problem so bad that if she got up and walked 10 feet to answer the phone, she was out of breath for 5 minutes. We knew if she got COVID, she was dead.
right.
Same.
Period.
I'm same boat.
So we tried everything we could to protect her. We wore masks around her. We insisted that
Which
people
you
do as
should,
well.
100%. I might disagree with that.
I remember once when Steve had a coworker who went to pick up some paychecks or drop off some paperwork at an office in up the road with the oil company. And when he went to drop it off, there were a couple of guys and a secretary in the office, no mask, no nothing. He got ready to leave, or later on in the conversation, he found out that one or both of them had COVID and never bothered to tell him. This guy's wife was a school bus driver. Steve was asking the question, if they who had COVID gave it to his coworker who might have given it to his wife, how many kids might she pass it to? And you know what? Those kids are going to be fine. How many of those kids had an elderly grandparent at home like my mom that it could have killed? Again, the face mask and all this stuff, did it work? Maybe 2% of the time. Tell me what tools we had better.
Well, I guess I'm asking the question: why is the American government funding a lab that
We
is
know why.
creating illnesses that
Because
can
we're
basically target the
same
elderly,
crap.
right?
No,
No, I guess that's
we
what
were,
I'm
we
getting
were
at,
funding
right?
this because we hoped to find out things that we could use for possible warfare, right?
Yeah.
This
So,
virus lab.
My
in China?
better question to that, Brett, is why were the American people who were here because F that religion, we want to come practice our own religion. The American people who formed our entire government because F that 0.25% tax on tea. I want to drink my tea tax free and you don't represent me and I have no representation. Why are the American people who are by and large historically ruggedly independent so willing to just say, you take whatever you want? And I'm not just talking about COVID. I'm talking about Patriot
9/11,
Act.
Patriot Act.
I'm
yeah.
talking about MK Ultra. Why, when this came out, we didn't have revolt in the street? Literally, our forefathers would be rolling in their graves for half of the crap that American citizens put up with from Washington and from your individual
Look
state
at our
governments.
income tax.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like the tax on tea was the bread. Well, it was like
tax.
it was like 2%. It was
Yeah.
something ridiculous.
It
Like
was some low, stupid amount.
now you got 30% tax.
So, and that 30, are you crazy? Every single dollar that leaves your pocket before it gets to the final destination has somewhere in the ballpark of 85% taxes. From embedded taxes to building taxes to corporate taxes to individual payroll taxes. Our people in Washington, Republican, Democrat, Independent, if you work in Washington, you should be ashamed of yourself for what you were doing to the
Most.
American people.
Most. There's
90% people.
probably 97, 98, but there's a few that try to do
And
good and get
two of them,
castigated for it.
two of them, I'm honored to say come from the great
I agree.
Commonwealth of Kentucky. Rand Paul and Thomas
And
Massey.
Rand Paul's doing
So-
okay, but Massey's getting crucified by a
Yeah,
bunch of
right.
other idiots in
Yeah.
Washington.
And I'm sorry you got me on this rant, but it's the truth.
Gotten political. haven't we?
If well, it
I
comes.
agree.
That's what
I
this is
agree.
about.
Totally agree.
If this came out today, people would be like, "Oh, whatever,"
Probably.
and walk on by like it was nothing.
Probably even more so than we did
This
in the
man-
70s.
This man, Frank Olson, either jumped out a window because of this program or was pushed.
No, we know he did. There's a reason
Right.
President Ford went and apologized to his family
Right.
20 something years later.
Right.
This is going to be like we're 20 years from now. Our kids are going to be having a podcast. And they're going to be talking about Epstein the same way. I feel like
Epstein and 9/11 is going to be one of the big ones.
9/11,
Patriot Act, all the rights we
Patriot
gave
Act.
up.
I mean,
And they're going to say, why didn't my
Why didn't my
grandparents say something?
grandparents stand up
And
and
do
have a
something?
freaking backbone and a set
agree.
of cojones?
I agree.
It's ridiculous.
We should have brought Clay on for this. He would have loved this.
this would have been a good episode with Clay.
He would have loved it. It would have
Unfortunately,
been good
Clay
for
got
the-
that big promotion.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this with Clay, weren't we?
We
like
were
originally?
originally, but if he couldn't, we couldn't figure a Saturday to get out and get things because that's his only.
Clay,
day
we
off.
miss you, bud.
Yes, sir.
Love to
Yeah.
have you back on then. You get time, let us know. We'll
So-
work it out.
Now that we've talked about it, now that we've got my blood pressure through the roof, thank you, gentlemen. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well, I
Does
think that's
MK
obvious,
Ultra need a more or less news coverage? Brett,
100% more. Way more.
Jerry,
That's my last statement. Says the fact of what our government did to our own people, sadly and tragically, is absolutely newsworthy.
absolutely. And I give it 2 thumbs up because
Absolutely.
F those people in Washington. I
There you
am
go.
over it.
Yeah.
Man, this has been an interesting episode. If you'll stay tuned, we have a great bonus story after this commercial break.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
Want to suggest future episodes? Share your ghost, cryptid, or personal encounter stories? Or let us know how much you love or hate us. Reach out to us at newsworthywithsteveandjerry.com.
And now, back to the story.
Guys, we're going to continue the Kentucky After Dark series tonight, and we're going to scroll right down the road to Georgetown, Kentucky, in Scott County. The type of creep, mysterious beast, and otherworldly encounters. There's nothing better than a nice, relaxing drive through the countryside, but a single trip through Dead Man's Hollow is sure to leave your hair standing on end. From Civil War butchery to tragic love stories, and even rumors of ancient creatures, the violent and bizarre history of Dead Man's Hollow is nothing to scoff at. This claustrophobic stretch of road, winding highway is the source of countless bloody, haunting, and ghoulish stories passed down in both written record and by the word of mouth. Stories that have solidified the area as having one of the most haunted stretches of highway in all of Scott County. Scott County boasts a host of otherworldly attractions, including historic haunted downtown, the living statue of Lady Justice, and an old bank building whose haunted bullet hole, and the restless spirit of Georgetown's founder and father of bourbon, Elijah Craig. Guys, we want to appreciate you listening to us for tonight. Be sure to reach out to our great sponsors, USA Mortgage and Ed Locke. You can be reached at 502-680-0953 for all things mortgage related. Great guy to talk to. If you have a mortgage question, reach out to him. And by Smoking Gun Jerky online. Go to Smoking Gun Jerky online of Lincoln, Nebraska. They have 50 different varieties of jerky for you to choose from, including marinades, spices, and recipes to make your own jerky at home. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.